So you want to learn how to create this crazy echo effect inside of After Effects? Then stick around because I'm about to break it down step by step in this tutorial. It's a really crazy one and I'll show you how you can create it with and without plugins. So without wasting any more of your time, let's hop right into After Effects and get into it. So I'm in After Effects right now and I got this tandem music video right here. I'll just pre-compose it real quick and move all attributes into the new composition. And open this composition up. So now I got my clip right here. And one thing that really often happens when you just grab music videos off YouTube is you get these kind of glitches, as you can see right here. I'm not even sure how to explain it, but you can see it's not supposed to look like that and it's basically going to ruin our effect. So this is not a part of the effect, but if you do have this issue, then one way you can solve it pretty easily is open up Media Encoder. And when you're in Media Encoder, just grab the video that you're editing on and drop it in here. And then I'll just set the output settings to HD and I'll just export it once again. Nothing special, just export the video. So now as you can see, it's finished exporting. And what I'll do now is I'll open up the After Effects and click on the clip, replace footage, and replace the file with the new one. So now I have a perfect video right here. And I'll start off by changing the quality to full and start masking out my subject. So this scene is pretty hard because of his dark clothes and his black hair. I actually haven't recorded a tutorial in a while, probably like 2-3 weeks, because my most recent tutorials were pre-recorded. So I recorded them like towards the end of September. So it feels a little bit weird, but I'll just clean up my mask a little bit, make sure that it's looking good. And as you can tell, my mask isn't the best. It looks really rough, but luckily I'm not here to show you how to mask. But to kind of save this mask, I'll throw on a refined soft matte and change the additional edge radius to 4, then bump up the feather a little bit and maybe drag down the additional edge radius to 3, and we'll keep the feather around 7. So now as you can see, like this is what it looks like now and before, just a little bit smoother around the edges. It just helps me save it a little bit. Now I'll be duplicating this layer, and to the background layer I'll be removing all of the effects. So now we have our subject layer and our background layer, and in between the subject and the background layer I want to have my trail layer. So I'll duplicate the subject layer and we can actually name them just to make it clear. So we have the subject, we have the trail, and we have the background. So the trail layer is where we'll add most of the effects on. We can start off with an echo effect, and I'll turn down the number of echoes to 0 here at the start and keyframe that, and then I'll go like 10 frames in and I'll turn up the number of echoes to 10, and I'll change the echo operator to composite in front. That way we have our echoes looking like this instead of making them really bright, but we want the ones at the back to kind of fade. So I'll turn down the decay and I'll turn down the starting intensity a little bit as well to something like this, so the ones at the back have a lower opacity. You can turn them down a little bit more actually. I'll turn down the decay to 0.8 and that's good. I'm happy with this. So now we can add on some more effects. If you do have RSMB, I would recommend that you add that on, and I would recommend that you keep the blur amount pretty high as well as the motion sensitivity pretty high as well. That way you'll get this really intense motion blur on your echoes. But if you don't have the RSMB effect, you could go for the pixel motion blur, and I'll hide the RSMB for now. And for the pixel motion blur, I would recommend that you keep the shutter control at manual, so you can turn up the shutter angle to like 3000, something really high, and the shutter samples around 40 to 60, something like that. But when you do add it on like this, you do lose some of the echoes. As you can see, it gets really thin. But if you want to keep all of the echoes, then just copy this effect, delete it, and pre-compose your layer and move all attributes into the new composition. And then onto this composition, you smack on the exact same pixel motion blur that you copied last time. And now you'll get basically the same look that you would have got from the RSMB. But the downside with this is that it's going to be really heavy on your PC. So what I'll do is I'll actually just go back and go for the RSMB just so my PC don't explode. And you can keep the RSMB either underneath the echo or above. You'll get different results depending on what you do, but I'll keep it above because it looks a little bit better in my opinion. And now I'll be pre-composing this and then stylizing it. So I'll add on a HLS color balance and I'll switch the hue to something like a red, something like this, and I'll turn up the saturation and turn down the lightness a little bit so I can get something dark. And what I'll also do is I'll add on a distort effect onto the background, like a warp chroma. I recommend that you go for one of the distortion effects in Sapphire because they look great. And I'll change the matte from layer to the trail background just like this, and we'll set the source to effects and masks. So now this effect will only be happening like right behind his hands, right there, as you can see. So wherever his hands go, that's where this distort effect will go. And I'll change the Z distance to like 1.2, and I'll turn up the steps to 15, and we can also spice it up a little bit more. And that's great because now we have this distortion behind his hands, and I'm happy with that. Or we can even turn it up to like 2 actually if you want more of a distortion. Maybe that's a little bit too obvious, so I'll turn down the steps, but you get the point. We can also add on a deep glow, and just like this onto the hands, or just any glow that you have. It doesn't have to be deep glow. And now what we gotta fix is right here, when he moves his hands up, it kind of messes with the background. So what I'll do is I'll add on a motion tile onto the background and move it on top of the sapphire warp, and change the height to like 300 and check mirror edges. Now we've solved that issue and it's looking great. We also got to do a little bit on the width as well to get rid of this one right here, just like that. And now we have some good results. I'm pretty happy with this. If you'd like to stylize it more, you could go for something like a flow motion on the background. Just move the knot one like behind your subject, like right here, and we can animate it and let it animate like throughout the scene. So it'll start at 0, and then at the end I'll turn it up to something like, let's do 50, and I'll also animate the knot one, so it starts here behind my subject and then it will move wherever he goes. It doesn't have to be too specific, just animate it a little bit like that. You'll get a pretty cool look by doing that. And now finally, if you want to spice it up even more, I'm going to create a new adjustment layer, open up my plugin VFX kit, which is a great plugin for any VFX editors because we have all of these different tabs, everything from road effects to shakes to transitions. And what you do is you just open up the shakes tab, for example, and since we have a pretty heavy effect right here, I'll go for a subtle shake, like the subtle vertical one, and I'll just click on that one and it'll automatically apply onto my scene. So all I gotta do is turn on motion blur, and just like that we have the shade in place. I've dropped an add-on version of the plugin and the default version. The default version doesn't require any paid plugins, so basically no sapphire, but the add-on one does require sapphire and a little bit of deep glow for some effects, but you can obviously switch that out if you don't have deep glow. So this is the final result. If you want to check out the full VFX kit, I'll have it linked in the description. We have over 150 effects in here, and you can preview every single one before you apply. That way you just stop wasting time on looking through effects and you just simply apply the one that you like. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one, which I'm about to record in 10 minutes. Peace out.